of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arched trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course light and dark. Then, from the dark, they came, and found the souls of lords within the flame. Neto, the first of the dead, the witch of Izalith and her daughters of chaos, Gwyn, the lord of sunlight and his faithful knights, and the furtive pygmy so easily forgotten. Hi guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode with MTG Josh. Today we will be looking at a specially constructed deck revolving around the Dark Souls universe, and we'll be using Syr Gwyn, hero of Ashvale. Obviously this represents Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight from the first Dark Souls game, and Gwyn is a 3 and Mardu legendary human knight with Vigilance and Menace. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and you lose a life. Knights you control have equip Knight 0. So yeah, this is kind of a knight deck. There's a few special things along the way, but it's super effective if you can just get some equipments out, attach to your knights, and then burst through the gates, hopefully being able to take down your opponents. So let's take a look at some of the pieces in the deck that make this a really nice Dark Souls flavoured deck for any fans out there of Dark Souls. So you've got Quelaag, the Witch of Izalith. I don't know if you remember this, but it's the giant spider woman boss in Dark Souls 1, guarding your way, and she's pretty freaky. She's not a knight, obviously, but the flavour lore, kind of works well. So there'll be things in the deck that don't exactly fit with the theme of knights. There are a few knights, but yeah, I've tried to include stuff that kind of could still work. And yeah, let's see some other things. So we've got Glory Bringer. This represents the dragons in the game. It's got Flying Haste. Whenever it attacks, deal 4 to a non-dragon creature opponent controls to exert it. You've got Icing Death, Frost Tyrant, Flying Vigilance. Whenever it dies, you create Frost Stung, legendary white equipment artifact token. With equipped creature gets +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, target creature defending player controls, and equip 2. So basically this represents, when you kill a boss in the game, it drops a nice weapon, and this represents that absolutely perfectly. And of course you have to have a treasure chest because the game is absolutely littered with them. So treasure chest reads, you pay 4, sack it, roll a d20, and then if you get a 1, you get trapped, you lose 3 life. So that could be a mimic. Although saying that, we also have a mimic, so this is pretty cool to represent, the evil treasure chests that come alive and hunt you down. 2 to 9 you get 5 treasure tokens, 10 to 19 you gain 3 life, draw 3 cards, which is pretty awesome, and 20 search your library for an artifact. If it's an artifact card, put it onto the battlefield, otherwise put it into your hand. So it's basically a tutor, which is pretty awesome. You've got 4 Hours of Invention, which says you can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn, and you may cast spells without mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying the mana costs. So this is really cool because it represents some of the smiths within the game itself. And it's just a really powerful way to get out cards in your deck without paying the mana cost. And it's especially important in multicolour decks because you don't always have the right colours available. So this is almost like mana fixing, and we're not a very reactive deck. So being able to get this out, maybe turn 4, could be super important to getting your stuff out. And especially considering your general 6 mana and needs equipments. So being able to cheat out some equipments, and then you'll have the mana open to maybe equip it to other creatures if you don't have Syr Gwyn, is also really useful. And yeah, the deck is also littered with loads of knights. Daneth the Capuchin is there to make your equipments 1 cheaper. We've even put SRAM in here to make, give you a bit of card advantage when you play equipments. And yeah, you've even got Horde Robber, which is a nice little creature to represent you going into a dragon's lair and stealing their treasure, which is quite sweet. So yeah, the deck list will be in the description below, so have a look through that and peruse and see what else you might be able to find that I've put in the deck that would add some flavour. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more flavour or lore based decks like this. Stay tuned after the games to see my opinions of what I thought of the deck. But yeah, let's get straight into the games. Okay, so we go first against Big Bolus. Let's see how we can fare against this guy. Starting hand's decent. We've got ourselves some appropriate coloured lands and a mana rock as well as some early advantage and a swinging creature. So let's start with the tap land. Lawhold command is not something we want to see right now. So the key to beating a deck like Bolas is we cannot really go into the long game, because 7 mana Planeswalker will just trounce anything we can really do. We can't get the Triumphant Adventurer out just yet, so maybe this would be a good chance to get out Guardian Idol. And even if they do resolve the Bolas, we do have a Fracture in hand, so we can kill it for 2 mana, which seems pretty decent. Copying us with Guardian Idol. So let's get out some beatdown. This is the revised Triumphant Adventurer, so it's been buffed to be a 2/1, which is pretty important, giving him double power. I always thought a 1/1 was kind of weak. 5 mana, 6. So they'll have 6 mana in their turn. Okay, so that's our early beater down, that's a shame. So here we go with the fires. This is going to be very useful. We could destroy their ramp just to take them away from some of their mana. So next turn we can actually cast Syr Gwyn using our regular mana. Oh, it's a shame. They get rid of our Shadow Spear, so that is part of our draw engine gone. Why did they just use a Soul Shatter? Okay. Well, that's still a win, right? Alright, opponent goes first with Tyvar Kel. And starting hand is kind of bad. We need more than 2 lands, I think. 3 lands is acceptable. We've got a way to kill some stuff. Always an elf on turn 1. Having first strike is pretty good against elves, because a lot of elves are kind of low toughness. But for now, I think I do want to kill the Jaspar Sentinel, because I don't want them to get 4 mana. And trust me, I'd love to kill the Allosaurus Shepherd. Hopefully I can get around to that later on. Did they really miss a land drop? Interesting. So that gives us a turn. They basically time walked themselves because they didn't have a mana. Okay, so they found themselves a mana. Wow, so basically the difference was 0 because they just got 4 mana. Interestingly, they sacrificed the non-forest, which was their only source of black. Now this tells me they haven't... I think they've got Nissa in their hand, because Nissa doubles the forests. But for now, let's just go for the Maze Mind Tome, and we'll hold up the Vanishing Verse for their general, if they choose to cast him. Or if it's a Nissa, we get to kill her as well. Yeah, it's a bit one-track, this Tyvar Kel deck. I feel like it's a net deck, because every one of them I see looks exactly the same. They all finish the same way with, like, Crater Hoof. Well, I definitely have to exile this guy, I think, because that gives him 3 mana, which is ridiculous if you untap that with Tyvar Kel. To be fair, I could have saved my mana there and just gone for the Mythos, but we can do that the following turn, can't we? Let's draw a card here first. This might seem counterintuitive, playing lots of permanents out when I've got the Mythos, but I just want to apply some pressure here.
Hold on to your jaws. They're about to drop.
And also playing the Vorpal Sword makes them more aware yeah, so see, they're using their resources now to get rid of our stuff, so that is a shame, but they had this, they were going to have this anyway, right? And it probably was going to go for the Maze Mine Tome, let's face it.
Come on, we can do this.
Okay. So it is pretty annoying though, because I could have equipped Syr Gwyn with that. But yeah, let's go for the Syr Gwyn anyway. And pass a turn. Now, the 3 toughness on this is pretty annoying. I thought this was looking good, to be fair, when they missed a land drop, but they just completely obliterated my... Oh no, Paradox Engine. Why is Paradox Engine? Okay, so now if they play if they play a spell, they untap all their non-land permanents. Let's tap this. I mean, I suppose our Mythos is looking better and better by the second. I really want them to play another artifact, because then I can kill this.
Bare your fangs.
Okay, so I mean, I can literally neutralize their entire field, right? So let's do that. Sort of. I can't do it quite yet, but... yeah, so that'll have to do for now. And then swinging at Tyvar, and chances are they'll probably block with this. Oh no, they can't because I've got Menace. Fantastic.
Don't worry, I'll win. Eventually.
Turns out Vigilance Menace is pretty good. Okay. So the Mythos there are proving to be really effective. One-sided board wipe. Herald. Let's just draw something here just to see if there's any kind of 1-mana interaction. No, okay. Oof. Abomination of Llanowar is going to be annoying. That's really big. But we do have Mortify, so... let's see what we draw with the Maze Mine Tome. Ooh, Tome of Legends. That's going to be very helpful. So let's get this out of the way. And then swing in. Tome of Legends could be pivotal here in turning this game. Unless they keep drawing card advantage, which is kind of infuriating, but... so now what we're looking for is equipment. Luckily they can't abuse any mana dorks with this yet. Okay, so they've got their own menace, which I can't block. The irony of 2 menacey creatures that can't block each other. So they could potentially triple block me here. Oh my god. Crows and Grip. As if they had Crows and Grip and we couldn't respond. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty bitter about that. Pretty bitter. Come on. That was literally like the perfect answer because we didn't... So in that case, the Crows and Grip actually punishes people who do things end of turn. Yeah, pretty annoying. I feel like I kind of jinxed it as well.
The greatest heroes have the longest sagas.
Death touch. So now they're going to probably try and block. Ooh, Turret Sanctum. So we might as well make Syr Gwyn a god. And then we can make her indestructible the next turn. But for now, we'll also swing into Tarvar Kel. And if they double block, we just God's willing to give her protection. Oh, delicious. This is going to really sting them in the bumhole here. Some much needed revenge. Beautiful. So we've wiped out the entire platoon of elves. And luckily we get an indestructible Gwyn, which is pretty awesome. And we get to kill their Planeswalker again. So I'm not sure how green-black is going to deal with Syr Gwyn. I guess they could have exile effects, right, or sack effects. Here we go again. So annoyingly they can make... Oh, sure. Why not? Well, that was a very close game. We go first against Niv Mizzet, which is a bloody nightmare, and I'm sure you all agree with me. It's not very fun to face, is it? We do have a Despark, but I'd rather have some mana because we're not going to do anything else if we don't get the lands. Bazu's Lieutenant could be pretty good here. Protection from multicolored means that Niv can never target him. But they might have an Essence Scatter or some annoying thing like that. Let's find out, I guess. Magma Opus. Right, okay, so they could just have Mizzet's Mastery. Or some other horrors of the night. Archmage Emeritus. Right, we're going to punish them for that. But first we need black mana. So actually, let's use the Fateful Absenter. Okay, it's not looking too bad. This draws them a card, but they already used a treasure, so I'd rather give them a clue than a treasure. Okay, so now we have the command up. Let's swing in first and see what happens. Looks like they might have some interaction, or it could just be holding priority for the clue, right? It could just be that. 4 damage a turn is pretty decent. Esper Sentinel could also be really decent. Obviously, if they get the Niv out, then Esper Sentinel is not going to be very good at all, because they can just ping it one time. However, it's still nice to have as a defensive mechanism before Niv's on the field, or even after we've killed Niv. Tome. Okay, so that's a good artifact target with the Kolaghan's command, isn't it? So we're going to do that now. Discard and destroy, because this is ridiculous. Tome is already OP as hell, but to combine it with Niv is game ending. Interesting, so they get rid of the culmination of studies. Okay. Let's hope they don't have a Mizzet's Mastery, because they'll be able to cheat out some spells. Okay. So yeah, let's go for the Syr Gwyn and Esper Sentinel. Worst case scenario, they have a board wipe, which does 5 damage to all of our things. It's highly likely, considering how many cards they haven't played yet. If they do, that could just be game over. Channeler. They always have the removal for Esper Sentinel. It's ridiculous. If I ever face an Esper Sentinel, I never ever have the removal. But every time, literally every single time I play the Sentinel, it gets killed a turn after all. Sometimes during the actual turn itself. Oh well, what are they going to do? 4 mana left. 4 life left, sorry. So they need to have a board wipe. Counter spell to the bin. Stone Rain. I mean, Stone Rain is annoying, but it doesn't stop them losing. River's Rebuke, of course. It's always River's Rebuke, isn't it? It's the only card that blue knows how to use, I've noticed. So I could go for Syr Gwyn, or I could go for the Duress and Basri's Lieutenant. Let's go for this because I want to see what we're working with here. Okay. So, yeah, that was a bad move. Yes, I thought it came in. I thought it came in untapped. Yes, I was probably wrong. So they still can't go for their Niv either, to be fair. Well, if they picked up a counter spell, this could be very bad for us. Right, so even if they do go for Niv now, we can still attack in because they're probably going to block, right? Explosion for 1. Okay, that was best case scenario, essentially. So they go for Niv. We just put a counter on Syr Gwyn with the Basri's Lieutenant, right? Which means they have to block. I'm trying to think of what spells may exist. So we're at lethal, which means we don't have to reveal them all yet. So let's swing in. And that's game. Cool. We go first against Trelasara. Our starting hand is kind of nice. We've got the Knight of Malice, which will be very effective against their white deck. Hexproof from white means that they can block it with white creatures, but they can't target it with white things. So it's not quite as good as protection, but it is close. You've also got First Strike, which helps a lot. So we could go for Esper Sentinel, but I think the Knight is going to be more effective here. Just to use our mana. Next turn we can go Sentinel plus kill their general. Okay. So this could be a good chance to get the Esper Sentinel out and a Maze Mind Tome. And swinging for 3. So it's important to keep their life low because the life gain decks have a lot of cards that care how much life you're on. Impassioned Orator. Let's just scry one to see if we can get a land on top here. And here comes Trelasara, so that will go to a 3-3. Somewhat annoyingly, they never trigger the Esper Sentinel whenever I cast it. So what's the best thing to do here? I think we kill Trelasara because we don't really want them to scry. And then we can swing in with the Knight of Malice as well because he has First Strike, so getting that damage in could be pretty important. They could just recast Trelasara, which uses their entire turn, which is fine with me because we've got more kill spells. Could be a takedown. Yeah, that's annoying. My Esper Sentinels never get to draw any cards. It's like, it's a joke at this point. Absolute joke. I'm not sure if that was a good use of their mana though, to be honest. And since we have the Dark Ritual, it's very tempting to go for the Syr Gwyn. It's a pretty aggressive play, but not much else we could have done with the Dark Ritual there. We've got 2 spells we can cast anyway, so if they board wipe here, it's pretty bad. Glorious Sunrise, so they're going to gain a bit of advantage beginning of combat, but we can deal with that pretty easily. And we're going to want to because the advantage that gives is pretty crazy. Gaining life. Let's draw a card here first to see what we get. Another Knight. So let's swing in. They can't block either of them very well. And yeah, let's kill the Glorious Sunrise here. I don't want them to get +2 mana essentially, or counters on all their stuff. Daxos, we've got yet another target for our Vanishing Verse to hit. So we seem to do quite well against aggro. Fires of Invention is very nice. Yeah, let's exile the Daxos because that's gaining them life, and the 4 toughness will be annoying. And then let's draw now in case we hit a land, which we do. So now what we're really looking for is to get a few equipments, because then we can start swinging in and drawing cards, which would be nice. But the opponent looks like they're a bit screwed unless they have a board wipe here. Collected Company main phase, okay. That's interesting timing. Maybe it would have been better to do that during my attack step just to surprise me. Because now I know what I'm dealing with. Ooh, okay, so now we can go Fires of Invention. And then we can cast the Sword. And because we have Syr Gwyn, we can equip the Sword to any Knight for free. So let's give it to the Knight of Malice. So the Sword's cool because it says if the creature would die, return it to my hand. And now we can just swing with everything. And we even get a land, so we can activate the Maze Mind Tome EOT. So we still have First Strike here. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good move, actually. So that gives it protection, which means my Knight of Grace will actually die. Let's draw a card with a tome, see what we get. And a Kiri. So this would be good if our Knights survive a little longer. We can go for a Kiri and then we can draw more cards. Obviously they are a life gain deck, so they're not necessarily dead. And this is why I was saying earlier how the life matters so much, because Syr Ascendant wants them to have 30 life, and if so, gets +5/+5 and flying. Obviously, combine that with lifelink, it's 6/6 lifelink, which is pretty scary. So the opponent's probably concerned about not being able to block my Gwyn very well, because Gwyn has Menace. Okay, that's pretty good. They'll be able to survive a bit longer. Okay, let's go for the Akiri here. And this is where Fires comes in handy, because we can use the Turret Sanctum and not worry about having to spend more mana on other things. We get to draw 2 cards here, which is pretty awesome. And we can even protect our Knight of Malice if they choose to block it with more things. Interesting. Okay, so they're going to go to 4. And I do wonder if I should even play the knight. What if they have a board wipe? So I'm going to move this to Syr Gwyn because Gwyn is obviously my strongest piece here. And you know what? I'm going to risk it. I'm going to go for the Knight of the Ebon Legion. And pass the turn. And it means he gets a counter because they were dealt more than 4 or more damage. So let's say the board wipe. I can just remove the equipment from Syr Gwyn, and it gives her indestructible. Cosmos Elixir. I wonder if that's going to be enough to save them. They'll go to 6. And another blocker. Okay. So let's activate Tyrite Sanctum. Let's give a Kiri God status here. They're certainly hanging in. They are really, really hanging in here. If they survive another turn with Fauna Shaman, this could be really bad. They can discard cards and search for any creature. There's a lot of utility creatures in the game. Strike it rich, so this gives us a treasure. That's not going to be very handy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is... I think swing with everything, right? It has to be done because they have to put 2 creatures on Syr Gwyn just by itself. Shameless is a sorcery. We also have the Order of Midnight to return a creature to our hand anyway. So they're more worried about taking out the Knight of Malice than doing anything else. That's interesting. Sure thing. So they get down to 2. Now, annoyingly, she has 4 toughness, so we can't kill it with the Rip Apart. But I do want to use this to destroy the Cosmos Elixir, because that's really keeping them in the game with an extra 2 life a turn. And then we can also use this to get back... I think we get back the Knight of Malice, because they can't target that very easily. And yep, now we can pass the turn. So each turn gets harder and harder for them to come back, but, you know, they could still have board wipes in hand. Search for Glory is pretty scary, especially if they get a way to exile one of our creatures. What's the wording of Sword of the Realms? When a equipped creature dies, return it to its hand. Okay, so exile effects. Oof, they've gone for an indestructible God. So how many pips do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4 if they play Heliod. It's not going to be enough. So let's put a counter on Syr Gwyn here. Make her even harder to deal with. And now she's Xaxes. So now I don't really want to attack with a Kiri. But nevertheless, we get to draw 2 cards. Oh, Culligan's Command could be pretty sweet. Let's see what they do, because Knight of the Ebon Legion is also a threat they need to take care of. So let's pump him up. Now, luckily, they don't have 4 mana for Settle the Wreckage, so... Teferi's Protection. Okay. So, in response... Let's cast with the alternate cost. What should we do? 2 damage and discard. So let's get rid of the Impassioned Orator. This is good for a few reasons. Wow, they have the Aether Flux Reservoir in hand. Okay. And just in case they get a board wipe... No, I don't have enough mana to do this. So... yeah, let's go for the Knight of Malice. Yep, Teferi's Protection is pretty annoying, but it's essentially a fog. Heliod, that could spell the end for them. Yeah, don't think there's anything they can do to stop us now. But it was a pretty valiant attempt, to be honest. Nice. Welcome back to the end of the video. So this is the segment where I just talk about a few of the games I had and what I think, how the deck feels to run and how I felt using the deck. Firstly, it was very difficult because I kept getting matched against like proper efficient synergy decks. That's just the way the format is these days. Every deck is cutthroat. It's very unlikely you face a flavor deck like one of my decks that I'd make. So this is inherently harder than usual. I mean, I guess that rings true to the whole Dark Souls vibe, doesn't it? Everything you do is going to be hard. So if you like a challenge, then this could be the deck for you. But I really struggled. I didn't obviously show my games, but yeah, I tried to show some of the fun ones. The unfun ones were just ended very fast, unfortunately. The struggles that it comes up across is that the synergy isn't really tight. That's the issue. Obviously, you've got stuff like Shieldred and Glorybringer, which aren't knights, so inherently they're going to be weaker. But that's the price you pay for having flavour, isn't it? You can't really win them all. I don't think you can have true flavour and true synergy. But, you know, the point of these videos isn't necessarily to make the strongest deck, but it's to have fun. Yeah, that's what the game's about. Just have as much fun as you can. The pieces that worked pretty well. One of the other issues I had was I didn't really get many equipment. That's probably because there aren't many in the deck. But I think in testing I found that it's very difficult to balance aggro with equipments. It's almost like playing an aggro combo deck because you need the equipment to attach to the creatures, but then you need the creatures to attach the equipment too. So it's like this self-fulfilling sort of paradox in a way. You can't have one without the other, and it just makes it makes it outright weaker than a general aggro deck, because aggro just relies on creatures, removal, and a bit of card advantage. But equipment decks are I reckon equipment decks are the hardest decks to make, because if you look at straight combo, combo doesn't even look to interact early on. They just want to do whatever they do. But the thing about aggro is you can't win with just one or two cards. You need to win by attacking with creatures, and there's so many efficient removal spells, not just for creatures but for permanent types, so it makes it very difficult to equip something cool onto your creature and move in and swing. So that's my opinion. It's just very difficult, but if you enjoy seeing these kind of flavourful decks, then I can continue to make them. And they don't do the best on my channel because people seem to want all the strongest decks, and that's fair enough. That's just what people like. But I think there is a small crowd of people who do seem to like the flavour decks. So leave me a comment down below if you enjoy these kind of decks and want me to do more, or just tell me if you don't want me to do anymore. I'll just see what happens there. But yeah, until next time guys, have a good day.
If you enjoyed watching this video, why not try some of my other videos on my channel? And don't forget to support me by hitting the like and subscribe button for more content like this.